2, 1. Hello, everybody, you beautiful creatures. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. My name's Alexandra. I'm your host for Talk About It Tuesday today, and I have the wonderful, smarticle, bootyful Akshay with me today. Everyone, welcome Akshay.
Hello.
Yay. So some of you might actually recognize Akshay from some of our photos or videos from performing at Yield Falcon Pub. We were there before the pandemic every single Wednesday, and Akshay was a huge part of that. One of the fun cast members. Yes.
I feel like one of the regulars on Cheers.
Everybody knows your name.
name.
Akshay, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, who you be?
Who I be? Okay. Hi everyone. As I said, my name's Akshay, and how I was at Nova just randomly doing biology, chemistry things, and then all of a sudden I said, "Ooh, let's see, fun class, comedy and improv, check." And I was taking that between like physics and organic chem, and it was just a great stress relief. And that's where I met, Angelica and Santi and Victor and like so many other people from the theater department. And I said, "Oh, this is fun. I like this." And then I auditioned for my first improv jam, and yeah, I've sort of kept both sort of going. Like my science stuff going, and then the improv stuff, I've always sort of been drawn back to it. And when I came back to South Florida, I went away for like a year working and trying to sort out whether I wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor, or like research doctor. And I was like, mad scientist sounds so much more fun, so I'll do that. So when I came back to South Florida to do my PhD, I found you guys, and it was so much fun because you guys were original Troupe. Yeah. So it was good to come back and do the shows and come back and do Falcon Pub, and while I'm doing my PhD and going nuts with other things, I could take like a break on a Wednesday and just drive down to Davie and then show up at Falcon Pub and just play.
Yeah. Why don't we talk a little bit more about how you kind of have that science side of things, your researcher side, and then your right brain side, and how they kind of function together? Because I know you've told me that it helps you when you come to improv, kind of wind down, but do you find that the improv side helps you as well when you're doing your research or your studies?
Oh yeah, I mean, like when you have, you're always meeting new people. You're always in sort of whatever profession you're in, you're always networking. I'm, meeting new people, and I remember, what was it? My first week of being in the PhD school, my mentor says, "Hey, come to this, research thing. It's a small little symposium thing with only a few people, and you'll meet some people." I'm like, "Okay, cool." One of the big research institutes in the world is this Max Planck Research Institute, which is Germany-based, but they have one in North America, and it's in Jupiter, and it's their neuroscience one. So little did I know that the keynote speaker at that symposium was going to be the head of that institute.
Oh, wow.
And my mentor's just talking to this guy, and he called out to me, "Akshay, come meet Dr. So-and-so." "Hi, how to meet you? Name Akshay," right? Like, you have a very small window of time to have an impressionable impact on someone that is super important that you weren't planning to meet, but so that's how, like, improv in these little bits. And I find that especially something lacking in science, if you can make this person laugh, even giggle, even just a little bit, it's a great way to be memorable. Because otherwise the pressure is, I have to say something smart.
Right.
For me, I'd rather say something stupid and have them giggle. That's so much less pressure on me. I'm like, I don't want to be smart. I don't want that pressure to have to say something smart to impress this person.
Right.
I'd rather make something stupid, have them giggle, and you still can be memorable. So
Right. Yeah. No, totally. I totally understand especially the networking side. Angelica and I grew up in the chamber. The Chamber of Commerce here. Our mom was a past president, and it's like the pressure of networking at like age 10. Now it's like you just go in and it's, oh well, I'm gonna talk to this person. If they're not interested in what I do, oh well, there's 20 other people to talk to. But finding something that, there's lawyers there's psychiatrists in there's scientists who also go there, people from Memorial, people from here, there, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to say something real funny because I don't know them. And I want to make sure that they know who I am and that they think I'm nice. But that they don't think I'm stupid, but that I can say funny things,
Yeah. It's because, and I think you bring up a really good point, especially when you have to meet people who are sort of outside your field. You can sort of, I sort of certainly feel lost at times as, what do I say to this person? They operate on a completely different level. This guy from Max Planck, he was just returning off a flight from Argentina where he was just, talking to this big research institute, being a keynote speaker there. I was like, you're so smart, you're so beautiful. What do I say to you? But I think that it's so much more helpful. I think people, especially when they're in a new environment, like I was in a new PhD program, there's tremendous pressure. There's imposter syndrome. There's all these things that so many PhD students go through, or graduate students, period. I don't deserve to be here. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. And I feel that improv for me took a lot of that pressure off. I don't need to be concerned particularly about being good enough, because I sort of know I'm not. But it helps that your brain can switch from those feelings, those emotions, and go to, let me just start forming relationships, forming a mentor-mentee relationship, forming a friendship with the people in the lab. Not trying to belong, but just trying to be friends and just trying to get along with people, and I think that it's the same dynamics when we try to form a troupe, is we had the regulars for Improv Jam, or even at Falcon, but I didn't know like Nico and Nunu before I started at Falcon. And when you start that bonding, rather than it's, do I fit in, it's more, okay, how do I fit in? These are fun people to work with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you think of going into a new environment as an improviser, what I noticed is that I never really start the flow of the conversation. So I ask them for I use my exercises. I ask them for a prompt, and then I run off that. And I realize that I do it with everyone that I talk to. And I don't really talk about myself. I kind of just focus on what they're telling me. And one day, this lady from Nova, she was in charge of the donors. And I was just talking to her because, I'm an alum and I'm just like, whatever, hi. And she was like, yeah, but what do you do? Like, what are your interests? And I was like, oh my God, lady, you're going to go so far. Because she just started in the position. And I was like, oh, wow, you're asking all the right questions, making me feel so special.
Yeah, I think that, to that same blank, he asked me what my research project was, and I told him, and he sort of gave me a thumbs up, like the pat on the back, and I was like, oh, validation, there you are, my friend, I missed you. But it's a nice feeling, and I think that's certainly one of the challenges I had when applying to graduate school, was learning to talk about myself at all. Writing a personal statement. I was like, who, me? You care about me?
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I mean, that's a very bizarre thing, to sort of have to do. And but again, it sort of helps build that you have a it builds that confidence again, that because I think that so many students go through it, especially grad students, they go through that imposter syndrome where it's, I don't need to be here, I don't deserve to be here, who the heck am I? And a big thing to overcome that is, I have something reasonable to contribute, I have good ideas, and I can help build something with others and have it be better. And I think that again, that personal statement is that first little step to, for me at least it was, to start thinking, oh, people might care about what I have to say sometimes. That's nice.
Yeah. But I feel like that's like the beauty of improv, we've said it before. It's very we say it's very hippie, we're very loving, we're free spirited in terms of, you have the freedom to create in this space. This is a safe zone. You are not to be judged when you enter into the improv zone. Whoever is there with you, it's like Vegas, whatever happens stays there. You gotta, the creative space is there for you to have that freedom to perform and test out characters, art, jokes, sketches, whatever it is, and not feel like, oh my God, am I gonna fail? Because that's the whole point of it. The whole point of it is to not do what you thought the outcome would be. The whole point is to just go with it and find it. And that's what a lot of people actually like about Harold. And for those of you that don't know, Harold is a long form style of improvisation. So you get a suggestion and you can do a 30 to 45 minute show based on that one suggestion, And the beauty of that is that you find so many things through the flow of the show, and you can create something so beautiful in front of the audience. I mean, this is all done in front of the audience. So I think that's also the beauty of improv, is that, you can take it with you and it can make you feel accepted, it can make you feel good about yourself because someone laughed at your joke, or you have a new troupe that you're hanging out with because you're trying like a different style of improv, or, so I think it's really fun.
And yeah, you bring up a great point there, is that I think that the troupe and the concept of that, is that at the end of the day, your troupe has got your back. When you're on stage, we are each other's safety net. And it sort of helps when you say, we're going to go out on stage, we're going to do a performance for an audience, but we have no lines, we have nothing, we have nothing planned. The only way that I feel like, especially in that first show, because I worked with so many senior people in that first show. A lot of them in the first show weren't around for my second show because they graduated from Nova. But if I didn't have them around, I was so terrified my first show, because I was like, I was really, really nervous. And, again, just having that feel. But I think that when you move into, whether it's you're starting a new job, or, for me being in science, when you start into new labs and that sort of thing, there are senior people there are other people around. And if my focus is not on impressing them, because it's my thing, same thing with the troupe. You don't try to impress the troupe. You don't try to pretend like you're the funniest person in the room. You try to work with them, because they all add a different perspective. They all add a different point of view.
Right.
And it's when this comes together that you really create something beautiful. Same thing for a lab. If it takes that little bit of pressure off, I'm trying to impress these people. I'm not trying to, show them that I'm smart. I'm just here to be with you guys. I think that again, it helps a lot when you're building relationships, because then you're not like, this person thinks I'm dumb,
What's funny is that when we first started doing the improv jams at Nova, I was a freshman in 2014, and by luck, as a freshman, I got into the improv jam, because normally you don't. That was like a thing. Like normally freshmen don't make it in there. And I don't know if they went easy on me because Angelica was there, or if they genuinely were like, yes, you're good, like I couldn't tell. So I had this huge pressure of like people constantly saying, oh, well, your sister's in it, so I guess it's easier for you. Or, oh, it must be so easy for you to do this because your sister's already here. And I was like, no one thought I have RBF. Okay. It's very clear.
Yes.
Very clear.
We know this.
And it's not on purpose. It's genetics. So I can't like, I'm here. I really love warm hugs, you know? But that whole first like 4 or 5 months of college and the theater portion of college, you know, working with everyone that was new, no one thought I was a nice person. So I was like, I have to do something. So when the opportunity for Improv Jam came up, I was like, okay, thank goodness, because everyone's like, wow, she seems like mean. I don't know. And I'm like, I'm just listening to music in a corner drinking coffee. I don't know what to do. I'm a freshman. I'm only 18. Sue me, you know?
Yeah.
So when we did the Improv Jam, I did a scene with you during a rehearsal. And I remember it because it was so easy, because we were both so open to whatever was happening, and it was freeze. We were just playing freeze. And,
okay.
You were the Tasmanian devil, and I was your zookeeper. And the moment is so vivid in my memory because I was like, oh my gosh, it is so easy to work with this person. And like, you know, when it's like you just worked with someone that you're like, I don't know, I don't really work too well with them. And then you're like, oh my God, that was so easy. It was like that. So the flow of the scene was so much better. It was like no one wanted the scene to stop because it was just going. And I was like, oh, I can work with this person. So later on, when we were starting things, we contacted Akshay because it's just so easy when you find that flow with someone, whether they're your friend or not, because I've been able to do amazing scenes with people that I don't get along with. We just work really well together. But when you find someone that you can also be like, oh my gosh, this is like a nice person, I can work well with this person, let me snatch them now before someone else does. So we stole Akshay.
I just, that for your first Improv Jam, I remember when did you and Priscilla come at the same time? It was both your first Improv Jams?
We both made it
started.
It was the same. I think we both did freshman year. We both got in.
Yeah, because I remember you two coming in, and I was like, this is, but you know, I'm glad that you share that, because I had no idea that perspective, just because it was, for me, it was daunting just every year coming back to the theater department to do one thing. I did no other shows. I did not by lack of people asking me to. I was like, this is my thing. I'm staying in my lane. I won't do nothing else. But it was just being the one science person into all the theater majors to do this. I was like, you all do actual acting things. So I was like, but it was really nice. And as I said, it's okay. First of all, Taz was one of my favorites to do, period. Tazzy. And again, I think that you're right, is that I remember anyone I did Taz with, because Taz is a hard one to do, because he's not he's vocal, but he's not speaking words.
Which I love.
He expresses through all of these sounds, right? And you have the person you're working with has to be able to pick up on that, otherwise it's not going to be a good scene. And you did, and I was like, friend. But I think the first time I ever experienced anything like that, which again, it's I wasn't super close to either of them. Like, because in Friends, they were very nice, but I did a scene in the improv and comedy class. I think it was Maria, Ari, and I doing a scene in improv class, alphabet game.
Oh,
which is everyone knows alphabet game, and you try to do 90-second alphabet because it's only 90 seconds. Your first line starts with the audience chosen letter of the alphabet, and you have to go sequentially through the alphabet. Mark made us go through the alphabet 3 times. 3 times in that scene. And usually 90-second alphabet, you do with 2 people. Yeah. It was 3 of us coordinating this alphabet game. And holy smokes, we just kept going. Kept going. And it's one of my favorite moments ever. I think it was the moment where I said, I'd love to do this, because it's 2 people that I didn't know very well at all, but we came together and was just enjoying the scene and doing something that half pieces together. And it was so much fun. And to the end of it, I think everyone died except Ari. But
I heard about that game for the next couple years, actually, because Ari was like, oh, have you ever played the alphabet game? I was like, yeah, but why? And she's like, oh my gosh, that game. Let me tell you a story. Okay, so
I couldn't believe that going through the alphabet, usually that's your task, to go through the entire alphabet, beginning to end, in 90 seconds. And I couldn't imagine doing alphabet game long form. But Mark, he wasn't. We look at Mark. Mark wouldn't make, that you get from Mark. And
wasn't that like the task was just to make him giggle like once?
Giggle, just smile.
He never laughs. He never fully laughs.
No.
Smile, smirk, or giggle. It's
yeah.
Like, those are the only ones you get. Giggle's like optimum, like you did it.
Yeah.
A smirk is like, he's like, ooh, I see what you did there. So when you play improv, what would you say is your favorite exercise to pump you up? Because I know you're one that needs energy, when we do. I need the energy. You just prefer you prefer a more hyped up game to get ready.
Yeah. I love hype. Hype is my thing. But let me think. I like a good zip zaps up. Mm-hmm. I do. That's fun. I like the dancing one too, to get the body moving.
Awkward dance party.
Awkward dance party. Yeah, we were trying to pick up. Yeah, when you're trying to pick up what the other person's putting down, get in sync with each other. I like it.
Yeah.
I like those. I like them a lot. Warming up is bizarre. They're like, you're doing improv. Why do you need to warm up at all? You're all coming, especially when you're all coming from different days, different schedules, different everything. You have to be on the same page before you start that show. You have to be there with each other, present-minded. And these improv games get you mentally there, going with each other, and it gets you there for doing other things, mechanically as well.
Yeah. It gets you loosened. It gets your blood kind of warm, and then, and also just like even taking deep breaths together, because there have been times when we haven't had time. Everyone's coming from work or school or something to do those shows at 7:30 p.m. at a pub. So, even just like taking deep breaths together, and then we're like, oh my god, I feel so peaceful, let's go mess this up and go.
But I mean, because if I didn't do any sort of warm up, I think that it would be so tough to do what was the game where we'd be sitting on the stools, being two like a dynamic duo from history. We have to read the letter at the end.
2 bodies, 1 mind.
2 bodies, 1 mind. Oh my goodness. Doing that game would be possible, right? For me, anyways.
Yeah.
To do with other people who you're not like hanging out with during the day. You have that natural chemistry with people. If you have an improv troupe, you got to get on the same page with that in order for games like that to be successful, where you literally have to read a letter at the end and say the words at the same time, beginning to end, with the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first time I did it was at Second City, Chicago. So when I was there, I did it. There was a 75-year-old man named Greg, and he was a beautiful butterfly. I mean, he would walk in, he had a tie-dye shirt every day, shorts and flip-flops, and like that was his thing. One time he brought in a binder. It was like all rainbow and glitter, and he goes, "I just figured this would be my improv binder because it looks like how I think improv is." And I was like, I love you so much. And the first time I played it was with him. He was my husband on the Titanic, and it was our honeymoon. And eventually you find out that we both caused the Titanic because it was Thanksgiving and we poked a hole in the side. And then the letter at the end was our apology letter to everyone who died. For me at the time, I was like 19, 20, and he's 75. So like, what do we have that can make us in sync? You know, how do you do that with someone? And it was so amazing to be able to get into sync with someone that you barely have anything in common with except for improvisation. And just like do the scene and have that flow. And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys were so together on that. That was like crazy." And I was like, I don't know how it happened, but
yeah, I mean, you know, and I think when you see, and it goes to show you when people are in sync with each other, even outside of improv, how you and Angelica are, and how Santi and Victor were, because they were best buds outside. Oh, you can get some special moments. You can get some really special moments. It can be daunting, I'm sure, for you guys, but you can really get some special things because this is your sister, it's your best friend, it's whomever. And oh my goodness, and I think that awesome to see like these forces collide. Santi and Victor, and you and Angelica. I was always excited in rehearsals and whatever, because you guys would come up with some hilarious scenes. And it's one of the nice things of having improv, a troupe, but you have these, you're lucky enough if you get one duo that's there just by chance. They happen to be close outside of it. We had two, and they weren't two of the same kind of duo, where Victor and Santi were usually very high energy and that sort of thing. You and Angelica had a special chemistry on stage in performances and that sort of things. And I loved every minute of it. So
I think that's the beauty of picking on each other. For me, 24 years, and then for her, 27. In the womb, she was like, "I'm gonna get you," you know?
Yeah. When we got the opportunity to do that Trevor Noah show, and I think one of the only questions I asked Angelica when she asked me was, "Who's doing it?" I think that was, because I'm just speaking from my perspective. If it wasn't people I was comfortable with, I'd have been like, you guys do it. You do it. I don't know. But it was everyone, everyone that I'd either worked with in the past or had some sort of familiarity with. It was fantastic. And I think that's really what, again, I don't think I remember much about our sketches, the actual performance and stuff like that. I remember being on stage. I can't even remember the games that we did. What stuck with me was that I was on stage for what was the last time with that troupe. And it was it just flowed. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, for me, like the best. Like, I'm like, we did our thing, man. We did the best that we could.
Yeah, yeah. That was a good cast for it, especially because we also had Brit, and Brit's a like, I can't even explain. We went to high school together. So when I
Did
performed,
you? I didn't know that.
yeah, when I perform with her, it's just so easy. I mean, it's just so easy to do everything with her because we're on literally the same mental wavelength. Like, we trained in the same setup and everything. So it was just like, with her, it's so easy. With you, it's very easy. We got so lucky finding Nunu because she was just like Brenna's sister, and Brenna didn't do improv, but I was like, Brenna, do improv. Uh, and then her sister came in and she's like, oh yeah, I love doing this and that and whatever. And it was so easy to flow with Nunu too, because she also comes from like that sister perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the same views on comedy. So, you know, we like the same comedians. We like the same flow, that like awkward humor or those like weird like movement kind of characters. And I think it's, you know, when you find that person, when you find that troupe, it's just it's so magical.
Yeah.
Because you can't that's not something you can search for. You know what I mean? It's just
no. It's either there or it isn't, you know?
Yeah. So I want to ask you, when you're walking down the street, you know, and like, I'm a stranger, you know, what's something I can't tell just by looking at you? It's like a fun little secret fact about Akshay.
I think that what most people, again, I'm saying this because I think most people make the judgment and they don't exactly know. When people look at me, they said, oh, he's a nice Indian kid. Where my heritage is, you know, ancestors and so on are from from India, right? Actual India.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents and so on are from the Caribbean. They're from Guyana. And those are two very different cultures, you know, in a lot of ways. And I think that most people, when people see, you know, sometimes the references and so on that I make, you know, to music, and I think that Danny, in my first improv jam, Danny is this wonderful Jamaican woman. She fabulous, hilarious person.
It's amazing, yeah.
To be around. I mean, a force of nature, if I'm really saying it. You know, the first thing, but once she learned that I was from the Caribbean and my parents were from the Caribbean, there was a connection. The accents, the everything just started going. And I think, again, walking past me on the street, also I've been told this by the people that I mentor. They said, you can be a little intimidating at times. Like, they're like, you seem very serious. My students, I teach as well. I teach undergrads at the university, and they're like, you know, they look at me and they're like shaking. They're like, okay, we'll take notes. We'll be very good. And I'm like, yes. So this is the aorta, and it goes, and then they're just like, wait, what? That I have a very, very goofy side that I think that sometimes in the science world you gotta button up, you gotta be like, but definitely any excuse that I have to let the goofy one out and to let him play a little bit, it's a good day. It's a fun day. That managing of, you know, classroom management as a teaching assistant is really interesting because no one particularly trained you for this job, right? You're here and now you have to teach undergrad. You have enough training, but the ins and outs you sort of learn on the job, just like I think any teacher, right? But that first time when your students need to be reminded that they're here for a purpose and they may have temporarily lost sight of that, it makes it fun in a way to sort of be stern with them. And in your head, you're the same person. You're like, this is the act. And it sort of brought an interesting perspective to all the teachers that have ever sort of yelled at me or got cross with me in the past. I'm like, I'm wondering if it was the same way for them. They're just like, wow, we just scared all of our students. Up here, they're still very happy. They're still very normal. They're like, okay, we had to play pretend for 5 minutes, and now they've got the message. We're good now.
Yeah, that's how it was when I started teaching the kids improv. You know, they know it's a comedy class. You know, they know they're there to be goofballs. But you would find, you know, some students that would take it very, very seriously. And it was the balance of keeping it comical and keeping it bright and fun and happy, but also letting them know that this is a classroom and that we're learning and you have to respect everyone that's in it. And yes, we can get fun and crazy, but like safely, you know. And then having those moments of like stern, then one of them would tear up or something like that. And it's like, I know, I've been there. You gotta chill and have fun, you know.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a really interesting balance, you know. And I think that's the part of teaching that I like, even, you know, as a sort of refresher to research. And I think I told you and Angelica this when I started. I said, teaching is where I get to play, where I get to do improv stuff and have fun with my students, because every semester I have 50 new troupe members. I have, you know, that's my class. And I'm always excited. They're brand new faces. They're excited to learn, some of them more than others, you know, but being able to connect, as I said, you don't always get to pick your troupe, but being able to connect with different people from different walks of life, it's always very important to me to be able to do that, you know. And I like that diversity aspect to it. You know, it's very important, and I love improv for it. I love teaching for it. So
it's wonderful. So my last question to you is, do you have any final words for anyone about anything involving, you know, improv, the combination of it with your real life? Like, I mean, anything you have to say, final words, you know, what do you feel?
how do I feel? You care? Oh, thank you. No, yeah, improv and comedy in general is, I think, a very freeing art for me. I think we have, you know, I think that in the current climate of things, people are very careful about what they say. People are very sort of uptight about whether it's, you know, the state of the pandemic that's currently going on, or, you know, politics, we just had an election, or whatever it is. I think people are sort of wound up about it. And comedy and improv, I heard Dave Chappelle actually said this, and it's something that always resonates with me, is comedians have a responsibility to speak recklessly. And it's very freeing to do so. It is very freeing. And I think when because people's impression, when I've said that to people, they've said, well, isn't that just an excuse for like hate speech and just say like the most heinous, ridiculous, hateful things? And I said, no. Because when you actually give someone and someone wants to take that responsibility, they know that that's the worst, that's the ugliest extent it can be taken to. So they don't want to go there, you know, but they are free to speak about something and make a mistake about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the wonderful thing about improv and comedy in general. You can make mistakes. It doesn't mean you're canceled. It doesn't mean you go away. It doesn't mean that, you know, everyone's going to hate you and you're going to be outcasted. You get to come back and do it some other time and, you know, and try again. It's so freeing to be able to just speak and say what's actually on your mind. You don't have to put a filter on it or anything. Just go. I think that would, and again, I say it because Angelica and you, when you guys started This Is Improv, this is why I was so supportive of it, still am supportive of it, love it, because I remember Angelica especially, she said it to me at the beginning. She's like, I want to use this improv company to work with kids who have been bullied and have them overcome that and look past it. And yes, and as being like the first rule of improv, to go with it, roll with the punches, and rise sort of above it in terms of, mentally, so it doesn't push you down. That is such a phenomenal goal and a phenomenal messaging, because it's so freeing. It's so freeing to just say, you can bully me for it all you want. I still can say it. I can say it. It still has validity to it. And, you can make a mistake as much as anyone else could, but I'm responsible for it. I'm responsible for that mistake. And it's been just the most amazing experience, I think, of my life. I found home because honestly, in science, I felt that I was sort of I belonged in terms of I'm interested in this the same as everyone, but I couldn't work and function the same as some of my peers were, where they're studying 8 hours a day. And so I couldn't do that. I couldn't function like that. I was like, there's always a very fun, like a part of me that always wants to have fun. And, my mind works very quickly too, and is very sharp about going to other things and building off of each other. And I didn't find a place until I came in and did improv. And it's nice to find a place where you sort of belong,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. Okay.
I know. I know. That's just how it goes. You find this weird random group of people and they make you laugh and you're like, oh my gosh, we actually find the same things of interest. We have similar patterns of speech. We like move in the same way and we don't even know it. And I think that's the beauty of improv, because and Joke and I, as kids, we were very uncomfortable and nerdy, and like I used to hate going on stage because I felt like I had to look a certain way. There was a stereotypical the body type, the facial type, the this, the that. And I was not any of those things. And I didn't feel like I wanted to be any of those things, but the pressure was always there from like a director or something like that. And then once I started doing improv, the main thing that it taught me was, who cares? Who cares what you sound like, what you look like, what you do on stage, like what happens there, because you're not alone on stage. And I think that was like the biggest tool it gave for me, because when you're young, you're just so uncomfortable with yourself. You don't like yourself. You're like, what is happening? I don't like this. I don't want it. And then when you get older, you start saying, okay, whatever, it's fine. Wow, look at you in the mirror. What's up, friend? We're gonna, you look okay today. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna get through it. And then when finding improv, it's just that let go, that release, of there's nothing that can go wrong, because if it goes wrong, it was meant to, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So I totally agree in the sense of that. I mean, when we started this, we just wanted a freedom of a platform for people to come and express themselves and teach people how to do that. And that's why we say, being heard in your community and at home. It's a lot of people don't understand that the communication isn't always like at work. It's not always at school. It's also in the home. And you have to find those moments to just play, even if it's just with your family, and get to know them all over again sometimes,
Yep. That's you hit the nail on the head. I think that is, and then your audience is always there, and you're always feeding off of them and their energy and what they're finding funny, and being able to adapt in those moments is It's just, you know, the audience is like that single other troupe member that you have to work with. Okay. They're there to work with you, and sometimes actually, in terms of like human scenery and so on, actually physically work with you. But you know, it's a wonderful thing, and I've encouraged many people to do it. I did it one time. I was living in Baltimore with working at the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and I had some of my friends and so on, scientists and science-minded people, just try it, you know. And it's a lot of fun to just have the freedom to do things. I also think that it should be said that I think that in some ways it's reined in a bit depending on who you are, because I also think that when I was at the NIH, one of my friends came to, actually my mentor at the time, she came up to me and she said, Akshay, I was leaving and I was coming down here to do my thing. And she's like, Akshay, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I'm seriously surprised you were never sent to sensitivity training. I was like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. It's you know, I'm riding my luck as far as I can get it.
But that's okay, because you made someone smile and someone found it funny and you were able to, you know, bond with someone in that moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I said sometimes. And I said that, you know, there was one person, and again, you have different audience members, you meet different people in your life that have different levels of sensitivity for their jokes. I met one of the persons that I was working with. They were very rather sensitive to most things, and I made a joke that was really out there for them, and they giggled. I was like, can't be mad with me, be mad with you, but don't be mad with me, right? Hey, you laughed, right? But you know, I think that's one of the fun things. It's really just fun to be able to do what you want, and that's why I love what you and Angelica are doing.
Yeah, being able to kind of just have the freedom to say what you want to say, and sometimes have something to say that's important, because you know, theater is political, theater is education, so you know, using it to that advantage as well, I think is quite fun. I want to say a huge thank you to you for being on the show today. Any kind of links, it'll probably just be Akshay's Instagram, or oh no, wait, you don't have an Instagram?
Akshay has nothing.
Actually, an 80-year-old man.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. I had the science vlog, which was going for a little while. I made a couple of videos about that on YouTube, actually a science vlog if you want to check it out. But I'm sort of in the process of reinventing that channel. It was a good idea to start with, but I think that a couple of buddies of mine, and the reason why we haven't been able to do it is because of the pandemic. But we're going to start a podcast soon. And yeah, it's based on the idea that so much of the conversation right now is so politicized and so biased in either one direction or the other. I think so much of reasonable conversation that 95% of people would actually agree with is lost. And, you know, we're just a bunch of friends goofing around that are attempting to provide that commentary in some sort of sober way.
You're right.
Mostly sober. Yeah.
So anything that to find Akshay, he's going to send me all the links for, and it'll be down below. So make sure to check out the description for that. Also look at the description for anything else that you guys can educate yourselves on. If you have something, an organization or a website that you know can help educate the world, we always like adding things to our description down below. So why don't you look down there and educate yourselves today. We offer improv classes online for writing, actual improv, corporate team building, all that fun stuff. So go to www.thisisimprov.com and sign up today. We also have a podcast called This Is Legends of Yesterday, where we talk about histories, mysteries, and ghost stories of Florida. So if you have something weird or a fun fact about Florida or like a ghostly encounter that's happened to you, you can email us at info@thisisimprov.com and hear your story on the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to remain anonymous, please make sure to mention that in the email. Or if you want to hear yourself, you can record yourself and you can hear your own voice on the podcast. How fun is that, my friends? Always remember to have a beautiful Taco Tuesday. Make sure to eat a lot of tacos today. Thank you again so much, Akshay, for joining us today on Talk About a Tuesday. My name is Alexandra with This Is Improv. Thank you, you beautiful creatures. Goodbye.
Bye.